Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. Today I'm going to be talking about the Ladies of Horror Fiction Readathon. I'm co-hosting this with the awesome Ladies of Horror Fiction, and I know I've said this 100 times already, but it's worth mentioning again. If you're not already following them, you really should be. I will leave all of their links in the description below. The Readathon is going to be taking place during the month of February to celebrate Women in Horror Month, and we have 5 prompts, all of them to get people reading more women horror authors. So prompt number 1 is to read a book by an LGBTQIA+ author, and for this I'm going to be reading The Barrow Will Send What It May by Margaret Killjoy. This is part 2 in a series, and I'm not normally a huge fan of series, but I read the first book last year, which is The Lamb Will Slaughter the Lion, and I really enjoyed it. The first book was a really great mix of horror, urban fantasy, speculative fiction, and I really enjoyed the story and the characters, so I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes in book 2. Prompt number 2 is to read a book by a woman of colour, and for this I'm going to be reading Shutter by Courtney Alameda. This is a young adult novel, and it's about a girl who has the ability to see auras and ghosts, and I don't know too much more about it other than it sounds a little similar to the video game Project Zero, also known as Fatal Frame, where the character in the game has to kind of capture ghosts by using a camera. And yeah, super creepy game. I absolutely loved that one. So this sounds like a really fun concept and I look forward to reading it. Prompt number 3 is to read a book that has been on your TBR forever, and I probably have a few options for this, but I'm going to go with The Ghost Stories of Edith Wharton. I'm pretty sure I've had this on my shelf for over a year, so it's high time I finally pick it up, and reading some classic ghost stories always sounds like a good time. Prompt number 4 is to read a book with a great cover, and again I probably had a few options, but I'm going with Rebecca Moon by Michelle Spence. This is a novel from 1983 and it's about a small town with some creepy children, so yeah, already we've got 2 great horror tropes going on, and if it's half as good as the cover, it's going to be pretty amazing. And prompt number 5 is to read a young adult or middle grade book, and I'm going with The Stranger by Caroline B. Cooney. Any opportunity to read or reread another point horror book is, yeah, definitely an opportunity I'm going to grab. And I remember having this one when I was a kid, but I honestly don't remember the story at all. So this should be fun to revisit. It's about a mysterious, handsome teenage boy who rocks up into town and the probably lonely girl with no friends who falls under his spell. And Caroline B. Cooney's books are usually really well written. She has a really interesting and unique style, so I'm really looking forward to this one. So those are all of the prompts and the books that I'm going to be reading. I will leave the Ladies of Horror Fiction linked below. They have a ton more suggestions and recommendations for the prompts too, and I'll also link my previous videos for the other readathons that we've co-hosted, because even though some of the challenges are slightly different, they might still fit these prompts as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and I will do my best to answer them. I think it's really important to celebrate women in horror and yeah, make an effort to read more women horror authors. You know, sadly they are still somewhat overlooked even in 2020. So I'm looking forward to this readathon, and yeah, I hope some of you will join in too. If you are, let me know. I'd love to hear what you're going to be reading. And another thing I wanted to mention, not related to the readathon, but another way you could celebrate Women in Horror Month would be to watch some horror films by female directors. So a few that I would recommend are Near Dark, Raw, The Slumber Party Massacre, Mirror Mirror, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and American Psycho, just to give you a few suggestions. And like I say, Women in Horror Month, and the Ladies of Horror Fiction Readathon take place throughout the entire month of February, so it's a whole month to, yeah, make an effort to support and celebrate women in horror. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video.